Hi, this is Professor Cordis, and this is the week 6 video for the Narrative Perspectives Project for English 353 Children's Literature. This week, ladies and gentlemen, you've had the chance to read the book Wonder, a fantastic read and representation of children with disabilities. The interesting thing about this text is that each chapter or each part is told from a different perspective. So you've got Augie, you've got Jack, you've got lots of different characters who come in and kind of tell their perspective, their ideas of the story. And so what you want to do is you want to take a moment to kind of step back and see the commonalities between all of these different perspectives. Take, for instance, if there was a car accident on the freeway, there's multiple people involved, there's multiple people who have witnessed it, and then therefore there's multiple perspectives. One person was standing way back here, one person was in the car, one person was ahead, and they're all going to tell the same story about what happened, but it's going to be from a different perspective. When we look at narrative in general and narratology, we track normally with the protagonist, and we venture along with him or her throughout the story. If you have a narrator from the outside perspective that kind of contributes to the story, like maybe the narrator from Chronicles of Narnia, that would be a good example, or the narrator from Harry Potter. Like they're tracking with a character, but they're still on the outside. Looking here at our text, our narrators are that personal perspective. They are telling the story from what they understand. Okay, the second set of Percy Jackson books actually does this, where each chapter is a different character. So we're all traveling together, the reader and the protagonists, but it's the idea of what perspective are we getting. So as we read through this, we are going to be looking at some sort of commonality, some sort of specific thread that is seen within the 6 different narrators. Okay, and you get to select. I would obviously pick Augie as the primary one because this is his story. But selecting selecting your narrators carefully, because you want to talk and address about something that you find interesting and impactful. So looking here, I'm going to kind of go through the assignment. The rubric is the same as what you've seen before. So is your content well? Like, do you have that narrative perspective? Are you explaining it? Do you have proper evidence? Are you supporting yourself well? Do you organize? And then obviously, do you edit and format? Do you proofread? Do you double check your work? This right here is key and essential for a 300 level upper division literature course. This right here is what we're primarily looking for. That's the chunk, right? Your analysis, and then well as how do you support it with those pieces of textual evidence. So a couple tricks for this as you go into your close reading, and as you pick up one, like let's say you pick Augie as your first narrator. As you go through and you see something that like people's responses or the idea of friendship, whatever the component is that you want to talk and discuss about, keep that in mind as you read the other narrators, because then you'll be able to pick up rather quickly, oh, I'm looking for key components of friendship, and then you can pick them up and match them. I would even go into, as you're reading through the text, begin to highlight, underline, identify, write down, mark up the examples that you want to use for this, okay? So this is a 2-page response. If you have the 3 perspectives and you've got at least 2 pieces of textual evidence for each, you are well on your way for hitting an over 2-page paper. It says here, you're offering narrating. Excuse me, let me back up. I'm sorry. Wonder is a multi-narrative novel providing readers with many different perspectives, often narrating the same event from obvious different perspectives. Now I'm repeating myself. First, you want to identify one common thread among the 3 different narrator perspectives that you select. Okay, so if you're going to look at the same person or event, what about the experience, the emotions, the responses? What do you see? Almost like a character study or a characterization What is going on for Augie in that moment? What's going on for the other narrator? What's going on for the other narrator? And you can begin to piece them together. Okay. What does each narrator reveal about the topic? They're all going to have a different perspective. Everyone who was involved in that car accident is going to have a different perspective. Person who's driving, I was paying attention to the road. Person in front, I saw it once I heard it, and comes into the conversation a little bit later. The person behind, says, "Oh, I saw them swerving." There's lots of different items, but they're all talking about the same component. So what do the narrators reveal about that topic, whether it be friendship, right? What's the emotional response that they're bringing to the forefront when they're talking about the disabilities or fitting in, the idea of acceptance, okay? What does that primarily look like? So if you wanted to, I would even suggest getting almost like a T-chart or a graph that will help you kind of organize it. So even if you had, let's say, like your three, I don't know if you can see that, your three narrators that you select, and then go in and you're going to be talking about the commonality of friendship, right? Maybe that's what you want to talk and discuss, and you're going to talk about friendship. And so as you go through marking up, okay, here's my piece of textual evidence. Here's my piece. And what you can see is as you go through, you'd be able to mark up and make those connections. Let me back up. It's okay if their ideals or emotions or responses are different. We're all looking for that different perspective on that same topic and idea. Does that make sense? So if you're looking at like acceptance, Augie's going to have a different perspective than your other narrator, right? Whatever you pick and choose, they're going to have a different perspective. And if it's different, that's okay. We're documenting that. All right. We are documenting on how do these things focus in on our story? What are they telling child readers? What is the message that's getting across to our audience? Okay. So you're going to use textual evidence in this close reading, obviously, for your interpretation. How might the novel's structure relate to the communication of that theme? So once one character goes and talks, and then they switch over to another, what does that do? What is the dynamic there that is presented to readers? Okay. How does our author use the multiple narrators to relate to what the novel is saying about disabilities and differences? We are talking and honing in on the idea of inclusion, the idea of proper representation. We talked about this earlier when we were dealing with cultural and ethnic diversity. Within children's literature, there has to be accurate representation, authentic, real representation. Is that being done here? Do the multiple perspectives offer that narrative? Okay. So conclude with a reflection on Wonder's use of narrative perspectives and what it offers for the child. Remember, you can't have children's literature without the reader. If you are stuck or confused and you want to send me an email about, hey, I think this is the topic I want to do. This is the commonality that I'm starting to see. Let's talk about it. Let's engage and begin to develop those ideas. Okay. So once again, this is such a great read. It's so wonderful. It's so fantastic. Go in there, start to pull out what you see, the commonalities, make your T-chart, make your notes, however you see fit. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with for this assignment.